there is like this endless array of people, particularly online, who generally like wanky social media personalities or content creators, as they call them these days, who basically live on pretending that things that are not complicated at all are actually very complicated. Like they take the most uncomplicated issues imaginable and they tell you about how nuanced and complicated and complex they are while wanking themselves off the whole time. And that's basically what it is. It's intellectual masturbation while being afraid to take any kind of principled stance themselves. When people like talk about nuance and how complicated things are or whatever, like a lot of the time they're not complicated at all. What's going on really is two things. One, you have people who like have built themselves up or like who like to consider themselves to be like intellectuals who think on a higher level than other people, but who at the end of the day are just dumbasses who want to like feel good and smart and more enlightened than the rest of them, than everyone else, by insisting that they're the only ones who see the nuance in the issue, and they're the ones who have like the answers that others don't. Well, you know, while everyone else is seeing things as black and white, I see the true nuance in this issue. I see how complicated it really is, and I'm here to explain it to you. So there's those people, and those people usually appeal to people who are exactly like that themselves. And there's people who are kind of like that, but also who are just sort of cowards and who want to appeal to as broad of a swath of an audience as possible. And the way that they do that is they avoid taking a stance by hiding behind this like notion of faux nuance, of faux complexity to an issue. Like they basically inject nuance into a circumstance where there very clearly is not any, like genocide, for example. And the reason why they do that is because they want to paint as broad a brush as possible to appeal to as wide as possible of an audience. And the best way to do that is to keep things as ambiguous as you possibly can get away with. Because the second that you take a principled stance where it's really clear that you think that X thing is wrong or bad, you get like unequivocally wrong or bad, then you risk losing a bunch of the shitheads who think otherwise. So pretending that there is nuance and complexity to something where there really isn't helps you to basically play both sides. Most of the time, particularly on YouTube, where you hear about something being like a political issue or whatever, being complicated or nuanced, it's not at all. It's just a word that is essentially being weaponized against your brain by people who are who like have their heads way too far up their own ass, or who are just basically trying to maximize their bottom line. One of those two or both. It's basically a negative keyword at this point. Like if you see someone talking about nuance in a positive way or the complexity of something in a positive way, most of the time, if it's like politically related, what you're dealing with there is that. Like, honestly, make people afraid to talk about nuance. Make them feel ashamed. That's what I'm here for. It's also usually like a roundabout way to come down like on the obviously wrong side of an issue. Because you just pretend that it's actually really complicated, and that allows you to somehow like mental gymnastics yourself into bits to the point where to your like impressionable, likely mostly children viewers, what you're saying somehow makes sense. Let's end nuance. Let's get rid of the word nuance. Crusade against nuance for 2024. It's 8 months late. Let's begin it. We have 4 months left to go. Combat nuance. That's the title of my book. Let's all combat nuance together. We don't want it anymore. We don't need it. What we need is people with the fucking brain, the conviction, the moral fortitude to actually be able to call things out as not at all nuanced or complicated, and not to coddle the feelings of those who like to say otherwise. I'm injecting nuance in this situation. No, you're not. You're just wanking yourself off. That's all there is to it. Anytime someone claims to be injecting nuance, they are not actually injecting nuance. On the off chance that someone was actually injecting nuance, they probably wouldn't have to fucking announce it. Like the specific announcement of it as well. That's just really shows how wanky it is. Like they have to outright say that they're coming in and injecting the nuance. They can't just like say their piece. They have to draw attention to how like they're the ones who specifically have the nuance or the take that acknowledges how complicated things really are. So I've had a lot to hear with nuance. I'm done with nuance. Combat nuance. This is the year of the end of nuance. Let's go.